as this brainwashed generation moves forward and ushers in to the, moving forward into time, you need to pay very close attention to what I'm going to tell you here right now. It's extremely crucially important. It's not just the mainstream media, it's a lot of the controlled information distribution that's happening, the controlled opposition, whatever you want to call it. What's happening now, especially in the mainstream media, they will now fabricate and post-dict stories, post-diction. What they're going to do is they're going to write a story dating back from March 2020 and how horrifying things work. April 2020, 2021, they're going to be fabricating more and more and more post-diction stories. They're going to list it as this article was 4 years ago or 5 years ago. The reason why they're going to do this as we usher into the future, they're going to make the last 4 years look like it was the most horrific thing in the world, and they had to do what they had to do to move forward into basically saving lives. Okay, so going forward, they're going to actually create articles today and make them seem like they were done years ago. And they're going to even index it like that. They're going to make it look like that. They're even going to have a little thing up top showing you that this article was from 2020, 2021, 2022. Why? Because they're going to start making these documentaries going forward for the next generation and future generations to see exactly how horrific, how horrendous, how this was so out of control, and how so many people basically, lost their lives to all this. And governments, again, we know why this all happened, because governments financially were on the brink in 2016, 2017, and 2018. You had the repo markets out of control, financial disaster ahead. 2019, you had people no confidence in government and protesting all over the world, worldwide protests. Those articles and those discussion pieces will be gone. Goodbye. The protests in Argentina, Chile, Mexico, let's not forget France, the Yellow Vest movement for 50, 60, 70, 80 weeks. The protests in there was some protesting in Japan, but it was mainly in Hong Kong. Then you had Iran, Lebanon, everywhere was protesting in 2019. Governments had to shut it down. They had to pull the trigger on the pandemic. They had to shut it down. Well, they shut it down, and then now, obviously, inflation's creeping in. Money's becoming devalued. This is all old stuff we've been talking about here for the last 12 years. This is not something we just brought up last week. And this is what's happening in. You have your controlled information distribution that's being distributed. And you have these heroes, social media influencer heroes that came after COVID, or they were doing rock climbing videos before COVID, and now they're telling you what it is now. They just switched over because they were reached out to. They were reached out to. I read all the emails to you guys when I was reached out to. And now what's happening is they're going to be telling you things you already know. All they're going to be doing, these people are going to be getting paid good money to tell you what you already know. And that's controlled information distribution. The big influencers, the people that are getting paid doing this, are the ones that are telling you what you already know. And that's what's happening. Now, mainstream media is going to go on full force, creating and fabricating all kinds of articles and re-indexing them in the past to make it look like it was the worst thing in history. How so many lives were lost. How without their remedies, like we said, the cure is more dangerous than the actual sickness itself. We told you that many times. And now, look at it. Look where we are now. They're going to fabricate. They got the technology to do it. They got the technology to index it. They got the technology to do all kinds of stuff to manipulate. And they're going to be using this footage that they're going to create today and make it in future documentaries to show people how horrific it was and how all these world leaders came together to save the world from this deadly sickness that was going all over the world. That's what's happening, folks. Post-diction. There's a lot of media influencers, like big influencers, big, okay, we're talking influencers, we're not talking about mainstream media, that are going out and putting a video up of inner school children, putting a video up of a cartoon of some guy driving, and then they're speaking over it. And then they're writing on the caption, we said this in 2015, we said this in 2017. And they use a muffled mic effect to make it sound like it was older. To make you buy in to what they were trying to tell you. They didn't tell you nothing. A lot of these people didn't tell you jack all. Right? That's why we're getting videos taken down from 2017, 2018 for medical misinformation. Because we were telling you then. And you look at the title and you're like, wow. Wow. So that's what they're doing. They are, again, digital book burning. That's something we've been talking about since 2012 on the channel. Digital book burning. Like we said, they're going to state in about 50 years from now, when I'm dead and gone, they're going to be telling my grandkids that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And the Americans had to go in there and save the world of this evil man with his weapons of mass destruction. And guess how many weapons of mass destructions he had? 0. And do you know why? And do you know why they're going to say that? Because they're going to straighten history out. Look what they did to the Portuguese Empire. They're non-existent. I went over this huge documentary, 54 million views on it, of the oldest countries and the oldest borders. Portugal doesn't even come up as an older country. Italy's number 2, and so is Germany at number 3, and France is number 4 as the oldest countries. Portugal has the oldest borders in Europe and was one of the first to secede from the Roman Empire. But that's non-existent today, because you don't need to know that. Because once you find out the Portuguese were dealing with a gold-backed currency and were trading fairly and had ports all over the world, you start to realize, wait, maybe this is what the BRICS are trying to do today, what the Portuguese did back in the 16 and 17 and 1800s. That's exactly what it is. But they don't want you to know that. So this is the situation we're in here, folks. This is what we're headed towards, folks. Yeah, so keep an eye out. You're going to start to see articles coming up, and when you look up and you go back and use some tools to go back, you'll start to see articles that were never written, but they're going to write them today to make it and to prop it up as it was. This is something that needed to be done, right? Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I look forward to reading your comments. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.